Hi everyone, welcome back to Azure DevOps learning series. On the last session, we have learned about the different type of syntax issue that can occur to our pipeline while creating a YAML file or a code base and what should be the best practices while creating a pipeline code. Today, we are going to be discuss about the difference between the jobs and the stages and where you can go with the jobs and where you can go and create a stages. So first, let's start with the jobs. So first of all, let's understand like what is jobs. So job is a unit where you can define your steps or the actual tasks to be executed under one agent. So every job you can have a multiple agents to be created as part of your requirement. So let's see as part of the example of the job where I have divided the task of a complete code into two different jobs. My first job is related to the build. And let's see always the syntax. Again, the two steps, two space syntax that needs to be followed to be define any jobs or any steps under each job. So we have created first job as a build, and under this one created one step, can be a multiple, but created a one step right now that okay, my builds process is going to be started. However, the second job that has been created with the name as test, and under this one, if you can see this specific condition that has been added where it said depends on, it means my test job is depend upon which one, the build job which has been created just above it, and it is going to be triggered as soon as the build get completed because it's dependent on this. The build which is going to be created is used for the testing steps. Now let's see when we are going to be triggered this pipeline, the way that multiple jobs has been defined, how it look like, and how you can see it when execute or create a pipeline. So I created a pipeline. Let me go and trigger this, and then we will see what is the difference between the previous pipeline and the job. Now you can see by default, if we are not defining any stage, it will create only a one stage because it's going to be logical boundary with a stage by itself if nothing has been defined. However, within this particular one, you can see there are two jobs. One is build job, second one is the test job. Within a build job, if you can open it now, this is a segregation of your jobs or a steps so that it can easily be identify what is going on. Now you can see the build step has been executed and this has been completed. Now the second job of the test job that is going to be triggered and it's get completed. This is the way to be define a job. Now when you're defining a job, there is one thing that needs to be make sure that if you want to be add a gate, quality gates, that means if you want to be add an approver for one job to another job, you cannot do. So in order to get the approvals to be added, in order to segregate your activity as part of the different phases, then you need to be move your jobs as part of the stages. So let's learn about the stages, which is our second one example, that we can understand that what all are the stages. So the stages are a logical boundary for the jobs where you can divide your different phase of your pipeline using the stages. Now think about in a way that when a developer created a code, then the developer wants the code to be integrate or a build, which can be covered as part of my stage CI, which is continuous integration. However, as soon as the continuous integration or the build part has been done, I want a second phase of my CI/CD pipeline, which is the deployment, then we have to be create another stage as a deployment. But think in a way that before the deployment, I want someone to review the builds, someone to approve the build so that it can be go ahead and deploy to a particular environment. Here we take the example just to be mentioned as deployment to production, but you can create a multiple different stage for development environment, staging environment, pre-production environment, followed by the production environment. And each and every stage you can have a reviewer to be added. So now you can see if we have a multiple stages to be created for a pipeline, it always start with the syntax as stages. Under the stages, we need to be started as a stage. Again, a name to be given to my logical boundary of different jobs or a task to be executed. Now, for the stage CI, within the stage, we have created a jobs. Again, the similar way, now the concept of creation of a jobs. So within a jobs, I have again two job here. One is build with the step as many steps as needed for the build, followed by if you want to be add another step here. So let's create a similar step that we have created for the jobs, which is my test one. So let's copy this one, go to the stage, edit the pipeline, and the way you can see the job has been defined. Let's create another with the proper syntax. If you are putting a tab here, this is not going to be work, as we discussed that tab is been not supported for a YAML code. Okay, now you can see my first job is a build, which will execute the build. My second job under the same stage CI is for the test, which is dependent upon the build. And then my second stage that has been created, which is for the deployment. And here also the concept has been added as it's depend upon the CI, followed by the similar way that has been mentioned that you are going to be execute the deployment. One specifically part I will explain it after I will show you that what this environment means. The one which can be used to define the approvals. You cannot directly add the approval here. All the approval of the pipeline or the different stages is managed through the environment. So let's see, let's commit the code and go and execute the pipeline. So we have a stage pipeline. Now you can see it's automatically get triggered because we make a changes here. So as soon as the changes has been done, now you can see the difference. This is one logical phase where we are doing a continuous integration, means one stage that can have a two jobs. One is for the build and another is for the test job. And my second phase, which is related to the CD, that is a deployment. And under this one, there is only a one job which is related to deploy the code to the production. Okay, so let's wait. The agent has been triggered because we are using a free version of the Microsoft agent. It will execute only one pipeline at a time. So you see my build job get completed under the stage of CI. The test job has been started because we created the second job under the CI. So you can see this looks similar to the job that we discussed previously, but now we put these two job steps under a logical way of stages. As soon as these two has been completed, our next stage get triggered, which is related to the deployment. And now you can see here it is waiting for a reviewer that I said. I will show you how to be add a reviewer, but this is the way that you can add a reviewer before executing any stage. It cannot be done directly to the jobs. So as soon as you approve it, it start triggered your all the steps that has been defined as part of the second stage. Okay, now let's see the one part which I mentioned to be create an environment where you can define. So here you can see I've given the name as environment. How to create the environment? Let's see. On the Azure DevOps, if you can go to the left side one under the pipeline, there is an option of environment. Here, one environment has been created, and let me try to be create another environment here as a dev env. We'll create as none for now. And as soon as you create the environment, now you can see here the option of approval and checks. You have to be select this one so that as soon as you define any at any stage this environment name, it will go with approval, and you can define the approval here. We are going to be select the DevOps learning series. Whosoever be the member of this group is the approver, and there is some advanced setting where you can say that you want to allow the approver to approve their own runs or not, and there are some controls that you want to be set it up. Now create this environment. Now you can see, and this particular environment has been created, and this environment is the one that helps to get your pipeline to be approved at each and every stage if you want it to be. Thank you so much. This is the difference between the jobs and the stage. Jobs, again, you can have it in a sequential or it can run in parallel. You can depend upon one job to the another, and then there is a logical segregation of the stages where one phase is been segregated with another phase, and you can add the approvers to your pipeline. Thank you so much. On the next session, we will go a little bit more deeper onto the pipeline creation and what all different tasks the Azure DevOps provided, which we can directly be in use for our code base. Thank you.